Right now on Morning News Now, countdown to a showdown. This morning, Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump getting ready for their first presidential debate.
If Comrade Kamala Harris gets 4 more years, you will be living a full-blown banana republic.
It's time to turn the page on the divisiveness. It's time to bring our country together.
We have team coverage on what could be a make-or-break moment for both candidates. Also this morning, tensions rising in the Middle East after a gunman kills 3 Israeli civilians in the occupied West Bank. Now, Israel closing all 3 of its border crossings with Jordan. We'll bring you the latest. Plus, state of emergency developing this morning. Firefighters struggling to contain several wildfires across the West Coast. Plus, a late summer tropical storm taking aim at parts of the South. We are tracking it all. And Apple of my AI this morning. Apple introducing its newest products with a major upgrade. We'll get a sneak peek at Apple Intelligence as a new era begins for the tech giant. Everybody getting in that AI game.
Exactly. AI apparently in this case stands for Apple Intelligence.
Yes.
Good to have you with us on this Monday morning. I'm Joe Fryer.
And I'm Savannah Sellers. Thanks for being here. We begin with the anticipation for the first, possibly only, presidential debate between Vice President Harris and former President Trump. Just one day to go before the showdown. Both sides are in serious prep mode while still on the trail for meet and greets and rallies.
The 2 presidential hopefuls are locked in a tight race. The latest New York Times Siena College poll has Donald Trump at 48% among likely voters and Kamala Harris 1 point behind at 47%. The poll falls within the margin of error. We have team coverage heading into this potentially make-or-break debate. NBC's Monica Alba covers the White House for us, and NBC News correspondent Dasha Burns is tracking the Trump campaign. Monica, if we do have you, we will start with you. This is the first time we're going to see Vice President Harris and former President Trump together on the debate stage. What are the expectations her campaign is setting for her? How is the Veep preparing?
Yeah, it's interesting, Joe and Savannah, because Vice President Harris and former President Trump have never met. They've never spoken in person. They've been in the same room only when she was a senator, and she attended a couple of his State of the Union addresses when he was president. But apart from that, she's really been studying all that he has said publicly over the last many years. And her campaign is trying to lower expectations by pointing out the fact that Donald Trump is one of the most experienced debaters in presidential history. He's participated in far more than she ever has because she hasn't, as a nominee, obviously, done one of these general election debates. So they're trying to cast her as the underdog and saying that really they're taking this very seriously and they want to draw a very sharp contrast between their 2 visions. While the Harris campaign is also complaining still about some of those debate rules that both teams agreed to back when it was the Biden campaign and that June debate, specifically when it comes to the microphones, saying that they wished that they weren't going to be muted when it wasn't Donald Trump's turn to speak, because they argue they want Americans to be able to hear everything he might say, as, quote, unhinged as it may be, according to some of the aides familiar with her preparations.
Dasha, let's bring you in here. We know the former president is taking a different path with his preparation. What's been the feeling inside the Trump camp heading into the debate?
Oh, yeah, you couldn't have 2 more different approaches here, Savannah. Look, the former president basically kind of prides himself on the idea that he doesn't do traditional debate prep. He says campaigning is his debate prep, that he has been holding some informal policy sessions with his staffers, with his allies, folks like former Congresswoman Tulsi Gabbard. She's been someone who's been really valued because she has been on a debate stage with Vice President Kamala Harris back during the 2020 race, and she created a moment with her. She went after Harris's prosecutorial record. She got some traction with that, and so she's been part of this preparation for former President Trump. But again, he has been out on the campaign trail. He's been pounding the pavement rather than hunkered down in the way that Harris has been.
So, Dasha, that New York Times Siena College poll, which made a lot of headlines over the weekend, it says voters are focused on the economy, on abortion, and the border. 2 of those are issues that really could help the former president, but there's been some concern among Republicans that he won't be able to resist delving into those personal attacks against the vice president. How is the Trump team working to try and keep him on message? Can they?
In short, No, only he can, and his team knows that. Look, there is no controlling former President Trump. They can only try to channel his energy towards the policy rather than the personal. And this has been the mantra, both behind closed doors and out on the airways from his allies, saying, focus on the policy. They're trying to put stuff in front of him that is about his record, the things that voters respond positively to that he did under his first administration, the things that he is planning to do in his second administration. But we know that the Harris team is preparing to kind of goad him to try to get some of those inflammatory reactions out of him for voters to see. So we'll see whether or not they'll be successful. It really is the question of which Trump walks out there. You saw in the Biden debate, he was a little bit more restrained and kind of let the attention fall to President Biden. It was a tough debate for him, and he stood back. The question is, will he be able to do the same, kind of reel himself in from those more bombastic instincts, or is he going to be sort of full-fledged Trump in the way that we've seen recently?
Monica, the Harris campaign picked up an endorsement also from former Republican Vice President Dick Cheney, calling Trump specifically a threat to our republic. Here's the thing, though, right? Cheney's not a well-regarded figure in many left-leaning political circles. So what is the Harris campaign saying about that specific endorsement?
Yeah, and the fact that it came because his daughter, Liz Cheney, had endorsed Vice President Harris was also something of a really interesting development last week, because we know that the Harris campaign has been courting some of these Republicans for a couple of months. They've been doing outreach to these conservative leaders because they feel like they can offer this permission structure perhaps to other independents or to those right-leaning Americans who are considering who maybe wouldn't vote for Donald Trump. But we heard a little bit more from the vice president herself this weekend while she was in debate prep in Pittsburgh on what that endorsement meant to her and to her campaign. Listen.
I'm honored to have their endorsement, and I think that what they both, as leaders who are well respected, are making an important statement that it's okay, and if not important, to put country above party.
And they had a few other Republican voices speak out on her behalf during the Democratic National Convention. And I'm told the campaign is still trying to reach out to some others who may back her at some point in these final weeks as well.
Monica Alba and Dasha Burns, one day ahead of the big debate. Thank you both.
And let's turn now to the Middle East, where at least 3 Israeli civilians were murdered by a gunman at a border crossing with Jordan along the occupied West Bank. He was then shot and killed by Israeli security forces.
The incident is the first attack of its kind along the Jordanian border since Hamas carried out the deadly assault on October 7th, sparking the war in Gaza. This morning, we're also learning about a rising death toll in Syria following overnight Israeli strikes.
NBC News international correspondent Raf Sanchez joins us from Tel Aviv with the latest. Raf, good morning. Let's start with those airstrikes in Syria. What do we know about what the targets were, and how do these strikes fit into the overall conflict?
Savannah, Joe, good morning. This was an intense series of strikes in western Syria. A Syrian monitoring group says the target appears to have been a research center in the province of Hama, as well as a series of Iranian weapon depots. Syrian state media that at least 14 people were killed, dozens more injured. Now, the Israeli military is not commenting. They are neither confirming nor denying that they were responsible for these attacks, but that is in line with their long-standing policy. And the big picture here, guys, is that Israel has been striking in Syria since well before October 7th, and the goal has been to try to stop Iran from entrenching itself in Syria, to try to disrupt the flow of Iranian weapons to its proxies all across the Middle East. But that Israeli air campaign, much of it done by stealth, has taken on a new importance, especially in light of the threat that Hezbollah, that Iranian-backed militant group in southern Lebanon, poses towards Israel as it continues to fight in Gaza and in the occupied West Bank. Guys.
Raf, there's just so much going on in this region. Let's focus in on the West Bank Jordan border. As we said, officials say at least 3 Israelis were killed by a gunman. Walk us through what happened here. What more do we know about the shooter, and also about the border crossing where this took place?
So, Joe, this took place at the Allenby Bridge. This is one of the major crossings from Jordan into the occupied West Bank. And Israeli authorities are saying that the shooter was a Jordanian national. He arrived in a truck to that border crossing, and then he opened fire with a pistol. He killed at least 3 Israeli workers who were on that site, all of them men in their 50s and in their 60s, before he was then killed by Israeli security forces. Now, as you said, this is an unusual incident. We haven't seen a lot of violence along the border there. Both Israel and Jordan are investigating. The border was closed yesterday. It has now reopened. But this is a reminder of just the scale of the anger towards Israel across the Middle East, not just from Palestinians, that a Jordanian national would carry out this attack. Guys.
But Raf, this also comes just days after an American was killed in the West Bank while participating in a protest. The White House is now requesting an investigation over that. What can you tell us?
Yeah, Savannah, 26-year-old Aisha Noor Agi, she was from Seattle. She was killed on Friday while protesting against Jewish settlements in the occupied West Bank. And eyewitnesses who were with her say that she was killed by Israeli forces. They say that she was not armed, that the scene was quiet at the time, that there was no justification for this shooting. The Israeli military says that they are investigating this incident. They aren't giving a definitive answer one way or another. The White House says it's concerned. It wants to hear from the Israeli government. But Agi's family is saying it simply does not trust the outcome of an Israeli investigation. It wants President Biden to launch an independent American probe. And Agi is at least the 3rd American killed reportedly by Israeli fire in the occupied West Bank this year, and there hasn't been a whole lot of accountability in either of the 2 previous cases, which is raising concerns there may not be here either. Guys.
All right, Raf Sanchez, thank you very much for your reporting.
The West Coast is getting hit with a 1-2 punch. More than a dozen wildfires are burning out of control, fueled by dangerous and potentially deadly high temperatures. Right now, more than 14 wildfires are burning across California, like the Line fire near Los Angeles. It's so intense that, like many massive fires we've seen in recent years, it's creating its own weather pattern.
This is prompting Governor Gavin Newsom to declare a state of emergency, with thousands of residents forced to leave their homes. In the Clear Lake area that's west of Sacramento, more than 30 homes have been either damaged or destroyed. And the story is the same in neighboring Nevada, which is also under a state of emergency. A wind-driven wildfire near Reno has already destroyed several homes and continues to spread.
We're covering this story from all angles. Dr. Vin Gupta is going to join us in a moment to talk about the dangers of this deadly heat wave. Meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan is also standing by with a look at the dangerously warm temps across parts of the country. But we begin with NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin. She is in Highland, California, east of Los Angeles, with the latest on the fires. Dana, good morning.
Joe, good morning to you. The biggest challenge right now is the fire's unpredictability. Behind me, you can see we've got flare-ups just along this ridge. And between the extreme heat, steep terrain, and lightning, fire officials say they are prioritizing saving lives first and then homes. This morning, thousands have been forced to evacuate their homes as the Line fire in the San Bernardino National Forest quickly spreads. The blaze quadrupling over the weekend to more than 20,000 acres, threatening 35,000 homes and buildings.
It started getting thick in the air. You started seeing chunks of bark and things that were flying that had been burned. And at that point, we decided that this is not a good place to be.
The area, located in the mountains 60 miles east of Los Angeles, has been dealing with a sweltering heat wave recently, with record-breaking temperatures in the triple digits. Thunderstorms bringing gusty winds and lightning, making the job for firefighters more difficult. You can hear the thunder nearby. This is making the firefight challenging because lightning can spark a new fire at any moment.
That's the problem with this fire, is we can't predict where it's going to go next.
Governor Gavin Newsom proclaiming a state of emergency Sunday, freeing up funds to bring in critically needed resources. Meanwhile, a new blaze in Northern California is also spreading quickly. The Boyles fire has burned dozens of structures and forced more than 4,000 people to evacuate. Now firefighters statewide hoping a break in the weather will help them get the upper hand. Now, the searing heat wave is expected to continue through today. Cooler temperatures, though, are likely to arrive tomorrow, which could make a big difference in this firefighting activity. Joe, Savannah?
Yeah, we can only hope that's the case. All right, Dana, thank you so much.
Yes, and please stay safe. Well, California's in the middle of a heat wave that's bringing these triple-digit temperatures. Let's see if there's any relief in sight and check on your Morning News Now weather.
Yeah, Chief Meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan from NBC Connecticut joins us with the forecast. Ryan, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Joe. Good morning, Savannah. Good morning, everyone. Yeah, the scorching heat continues in Southern California especially, but it looks like today is going to be the last really hot day. I think things really begin to improve by tomorrow and Wednesday. For today, though, we have an excessive heat warning in effect for Southern California from Los Angeles all the way down to San Diego. And with that fire that is burning up in San Bernardino County, the line fire, 21,000 acres so far have been burned. The wind today is going to be offshore, so it's going to be blowing from San Bernardino County down toward Los Angeles and Orange County. So that is going to create an issue with air quality today because all that smoke is in the air. Also, the heat continues across Southern California, so unhealthy air quality will be a concern from L.A. all the way almost down towards San Diego. Now, the warmth is slowly moving to the east, so we get a bit of a break in Southern California, but the heat is going to slide toward the plains in the Midwest. So for today, and look at this, Rapid City, South Dakota, up to 96 degrees, 92 degrees in Dodge City, Kansas, and that heat continues to build over the coming days. For tomorrow, temperatures will be up around 90 degrees in Denver. We'll see temperatures in the mid-80s for Chicago. And as you take a look at the forecast for later on this week in the Northeast especially, just some gorgeous September weather. Temperatures in D.C. between 80 and 85 Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Same deal in New York City. Now, down in the tropics, we've got a new tropical system that is developing. It's south of Texas right now, but it is expected to become a tropical storm later today. Winds already 50 miles per hour. The storm is expected to strengthen as it moves to the north, and the National Hurricane Center is predicting it will become a hurricane by Wednesday, making landfall somewhere in upper Texas, probably just east of Houston and Galveston. But that will put Louisiana sort of right in the center of that storm track. Heavy rain, strong winds, and storm surge flooding will all be a concern as the storm moves to the north. And guys, if it gets a name, and it most likely will later today, it's going to be Tropical Storm Francine.
And that area has been getting plenty of rain lately.
They sure have. They're going to get a lot more with this one.
All right, Ryan, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Now for a closer look at how this dangerous weather can impact our health, we want to bring in NBC News medical contributor Dr. Vin Gupta. He joins us with more on that. Dr. Gupta, good to have you with us. So let's start with the big question. And I know it varies on who you are, but how hot is too hot for people to safely be outside for extended periods in heat like this?
Well, Joe, good morning. Really, you want to look at not just the heat, but you want to look at humidity. So-called heat index. It's not something that we track often, but something, any humidity level, say above 65%, coupled with a temperature 85 degrees or higher. That combination, Joe, is really going to impair somebody's ability to sweat off heat. That's when we really start to worry.
Dr. Gupta, I know you've treated heat-related medical issues before. What are some of the signs to look out for if somebody is experiencing a heat-related injury or emergency?
Savannah, really critical question here. So signs of heat stress, hot skin, confusion, irritability even, maybe even GI upset, but all the way over to heat stroke. That's when you really worry about loss of consciousness. Somebody going from hot skin to cold and clammy skin. So it's that continuum here. And especially if you have young kiddos at home, kiddos going from active, highly energetic to just not as energetic, lethargic. You really want to look at energy level in children especially, or your older neighbors. That's a key sign that heat stroke or heat stress might be really setting in.
Obviously, we all know how dangerous the sun can be during the day. Usually, cooler temperatures set in at night, which can bring some relief. But I know there's new data that suggests that hasn't necessarily been the case this summer. So how much hotter are the nights getting? What are some of the problems that's creating?
Well, this is where it's really worrisome. In the Southwest, we're seeing places like Reno over the last 40 years. The lows in a place like Reno have increased on average by almost 20 degrees Fahrenheit. Places like Las Vegas, almost 10 degrees Fahrenheit. These are pretty extraordinary numbers here. Pretty much all across the Southwest into the Southeast, we're seeing an increase, almost 80% increase in the cities that have been studied, Joe. Their nighttime lows have increased by 5 degrees or higher. That's causing a lot of stress on the human body.
Tell us more about that from a health standpoint. Why does the night remaining so warm cause such concern?
Yes, Ben, see, what we're seeing here is if you have daytime heat, That's one thing. But then we expect that at night it's going to cool down our heart and our lungs, which get stressed in a lot of heat. We'll have a chance to really recover, frankly, just be able to go back to equilibrium. That's happening in a place like Las Vegas or Reno, where the nighttime heat is compounding the daytime heat. And that's what we're seeing. Studies have shown that when you have nighttime heat really spike, death rates from heat stroke are almost 50% higher. So that's the concern here.
Dr. Vin Gupta, as always, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
The manhunt continues in Kentucky this morning. Police are looking for a gunman suspected of opening fire on multiple drivers along the highway over the weekend. This morning, we're learning more details about the suspected gunman who allegedly fired at 12 vehicles on the interstate about 75 miles south of Lexington on Saturday.
Police have now identified the suspect as 32-year-old Joseph Couch, who was not believed to be inside a vehicle at the time of the alleged shootings. 5 people were wounded. All of them are now in stable condition.
NBC News correspondent Priya Sridhar is in London, Kentucky, with the latest on the search. Priya, good morning. So police say they've recovered an AR rifle and a vehicle from the scene, but they say they still consider the suspect to be armed and dangerous. What more are we learning?
Absolutely, guys. So they are looking for 32-year-old Joseph A. Couch, who is described as a 5'10" white male weighing around 154 pounds. And we did learn more information overnight as to exactly what happened on Saturday. They say that Joseph Couch came here to London, Kentucky, where he legally purchased an AR-15. And then hours later, he drove over to Interstate 75, exit 49, parked that vehicle that they have since recovered near a hiking trail or a service road, and then walked over to a ledge underneath a cliff and used that AR-15 that has now also since been recovered to open fire on random cars that were passing on both the north and the southbound lanes on Interstate 75. They said, as you mentioned, that he struck about 12 cars and seriously injured about 5 people. And we also are learning a little bit more information about his background. Joseph A. Couch was a 4-year member of an engineering battalion in the National Guard, guys.
Priya, how's the community reacting to this, and what do we know about the victims who were shot?
Absolutely. Well, I can say that the community is really on edge. This is kind of a rural county, Laurel County. It's in between Lexington and Knoxville. And as you can imagine, nothing like this has ever happened around here. And a lot of people are searching for answers as to why this could have happened. The schools here are closed today, and out of an abundance of caution, many churches were closed yesterday. But authorities did tell us that there were some curiosity seekers who were heading close to the scene, trying to discover what they could. So they really are urging people to stay away from that area. They do believe that he is still near there. Now, as far as the victims go, we know that out of the 5 people who were shot, some were shot in the face, the chest, and the arm. And as of last night, they were all still in the hospital recovering. We know that 4 of them were from Kentucky and 1 of them was from out of state. Let's take a listen to what the mayor here in London, Kentucky had to say about how people are doing.
My heart is to see that my community is whole again, that people understand that this travesty, this act of violence doesn't define us as a community. We're a resilient community, and I hate that the citizens are having to go through the emotions of fear and frustration because someone chose violence.
So now that the sun is coming up here today, the search will resume, and authorities are really hoping that they're going to be able to track him down today, guys.
You know, Priya, many of us remember that wild manhunt last year in Pennsylvania. Police had to comb through heavily wooded areas for nearly 2 weeks to try and find that escaped prisoner. This is a different sort of scenario, but also you still are dealing with the woods, with a rural area. Police mentioned some of the challenges they're facing while trying to search this terrain.
Absolutely. Well, it's very similar to what you described. It's very densely wooded, and they described even using machetes to try to get through that densely wooded area. It's also incredibly vast. They said thousands of acres, and they believe that he could be hiding anywhere behind a tree or even in a crevice. One of the other big challenges is that the foliage overhead is really preventing them from being able to detect him potentially from something like a helicopter or a drone. They also say they haven't ruled out the possibility possibility that perhaps he could be not in that wooded area. So they are soliciting tips from the public and trying to track all of those leads down. And in addition to that, guys, we did ask them, is there a possibility that he perhaps took his own life? And they said that that is still something that they are considering. Guys.
All right. Priya, thanks so much for your reporting throughout the weekend and this morning. We appreciate it. Much more to come here on Morning News Now. Later this hour, disturbing new details about last week's mass shooting at a Georgia high school. But we're learning about a call made by the mother of the 14-year-old suspect just minutes before it happened. Up first after the break, blame game. 3 years after the chaotic troop withdrawal in Afghanistan, House Republicans are pointing the finger at President Biden. The scathing new report just released. We'll be right back. Welcome back. The United States' chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan was just a little over 3 years ago. Now, a scathing new report by House Republicans out this week continues to scrutinize the Biden administration's botched exit. Representative Michael McCaul, the Republican chair of the House Foreign Affairs Committee, has once again called on Secretary of State Antony Blinken to testify on the withdrawal and threatened to hold him in contempt of Congress if he does not. 13 U.S. service members were killed in a bombing by the Islamic State terrorist group outside Kabul's airport as they were helping people evacuate from the country. At least 170 others were killed in that explosion as well. Let's bring in NBC News Capitol Hill correspondent Ali Vitale, who's covering this for us. Ali, good morning. So we know a review from the Biden administration last year claims that the administrations of both former President Trump and the current President Joe Biden are to blame for poor planning leading up to withdrawal. Most experts seem to agree both administrations share a lot of blame here. This report, what are the main takeaways?
Well, look, this is a report that we've been waiting for, especially because Chairman McCaul has undertaken this as one of the chief priorities of his chairmanship of that House Foreign Affairs Committee. This is, of course, based on tens of thousands of State Department documents that were reviewed by this committee, as well as, of course, testimony and interviews with key officials, though you're right to point out that Blinken is one that this committee is still trying to find their time with. We'll get to that, but in terms of what this report has actually found, one of the key takeaways that they cite here is that some of the reports around deteriorating security were, in their words, watered down by key Biden administration officials, and that officials on the ground in Afghanistan waited too long to actually prep any kind of emergency evacuation situation. It all leads to, in the words of Chairman McCaul, a partial statement, him saying, the investigation reveals the Biden-Harris administration had the information and opportunity to take necessary steps to plan for the inevitable collapse of the Afghan government. He goes on to say that at each step of the way, however, the administration picked optics over security. We should point out that Democrats on this committee are saying that this is party politics ahead of an election, but certainly this is a moment where a lot of scrutiny over that chaotic withdrawal. We all remember those images from late 2021. And of course, now Congress starting to dig into that, but they do have more information that they want.
We should note the Secretary of State has testified on this topic many times before. So in reference to this request by Republicans, State Department spokesman Matthew Miller said that Blinken's not available during any of the dates proposed, but has offered, quote, reasonable alternatives to comply. What are the chances we do actually see Secretary Blinken testify?
This has been a back and forth over the course of the last several months, Joe. One of the dates that this committee is proposing is sometime next week. Again, they keep hanging this threat that they will continue to try to push for the Secretary of State to appear, going so far potentially as to hold him in contempt of Congress. Despite the fact that he has testified on this issue and on Capitol Hill, committees are like this, especially those that are trying to do specialized and specific reports on things like the Afghanistan withdrawal. They want to be able to ask their own questions. They want to be able to hold their own hearings or interviews. That's why this committee is still pushing for Blinken.
This is obviously an issue on the campaign trail. It's something Republicans, including former President Trump, continue to echo leading up to the election, attacking President Biden and his administration for how it handled the situation. We even heard Senator J.D. Vance recently say Harris can, quote, go to hell over the withdrawal. When you look at the calendar, how much of this is pure politics right now?
First of all, so much for taking the rhetoric down. I remember seeing that from Senator Vance and thinking exactly that at the moment. But look, this is something that is a palpable issue. Both sides want to dig into what happened here. It was a massive foreign affairs failure, despite the fact that it was something that actually achieved what President Biden and former President Trump both wanted, which is the drawdown and ultimate end to an ongoing war in Afghanistan. And while both of them made decisions that impacted the ultimate drawdown and withdrawal, again, chaotic, and we all remember those images, this is also something that extends far beyond Biden and Trump back to the Obama and Bush administrations. It's a foreign policy failure in many ways that's owned not just by the current administration, but by many administrations that preceded it. And it's also a point that the Trump campaign has tried to amplify out on the campaign trail. This report will likely be something that they fold into those attacks, but you're right to point out what the Biden-Harris administration says, which is that this is something that, yes, they made the decisions, yes, they own the actual decisions around the withdrawal, but there were many decisions that were made by the Trump administration that sort of constrained them and locked them in.
All right, Ali Vitale. Ali, thank you so much. The Boeing Starliner spacecraft finally came home after that unexpectedly prolonged space mission. The Starliner had been stuck at the International Space Station since June because of mechanical issues. It landed safely back on Earth in New Mexico early Saturday morning, but the ship returned without any astronauts on board. They're still up at the ISS. Starliner's touchdown marks the end of a test flight that was only supposed to last 8 days. To help us put this into context, let's bring in former NASA astronaut and friend of the show, Mike Massimino, who joins us with more. Okay, hindsight, of course, is 2020, but do we now look at this and say, okay, yeah, the astronauts could have come back safely? What did we learn from this?
Yeah, I don't think you look at it that way necessarily, Joe. I think as far as they could have, though. I mean, if they would have put him in the spacecraft, they would have been all right, but they weren't willing to take that chance. I think that what we see here is that the spacecraft did perform well on entry. It had performed well on entry twice before. They were certainly conservative, and I think rightly so, in not putting the crew on board. But it looks like they're going to do some more tests and try to fly the Starliner again as an operational vehicle if possible, meaning putting a full crew of 4 on board sometime next year. So they learned a lot from the mission. They're going to do more testing on the ground, but I think it is a good chance this might work out okay in the end.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, what will it take for NASA to have faith in Boeing? We see that all the negatives from this. In some ways, was this a step forward in helping Boeing establish some sort of faith with NASA that they can do this?
The way they seem to talk about it, from my experience, I think they've always had faith in Boeing. They're testing a new spacecraft that had never been used before with people inside. And so I think they're very, very conservative about the way they did it. But the Boeing team really performed well as far as dealing with the issues they had and working with NASA to try to come to a resolution of those. So I think that their relationship, I think there might have been a little, maybe a little stress there between NASA and Boeing. But I think the way it's turned out now, getting the spacecraft back successfully, I think they're going to be moving forward. And hopefully, they will be moving forward, and hopefully they'll be able to fly again in the next year or so.
And we'll get the astronauts back at some point, right?
They're going to be up there they know what they're in store for now. They'll be there for February at least. So.
Recently, we've seen these reports of helium leaks, both SpaceX and Boeing. Yeah. Talk about why those are so dangerous, why those are so concerning.
Well, helium is used to pressurize tanks in space. And so in order for the thrusters to work in other tanks of material as well, you need that helium to pressurize it. So in this case, when they had the helium leak, they were concerned about being able to pressurize the thrusters. But the good thing about this was that they were able to turn the valves off while the spacecraft was in space, so they didn't lose any more helium, and they had plenty of reserve. But they were really concerned. They got okay with that issue, with the helium leak. They're going to still rectify it on the ground. But the bigger issue was the failure of the thrusters when they failed getting close to the space station, and they didn't quite get 100% comfortable with them to try it again with people on board. So it was more of a thruster issue that the little rockets that allow you to line the vehicle that gave them the problem.
As we keep saying, better safe than sorry when it comes to
absolutely, yeah. It was absolutely right call.
All right, Mike Massimino, good to have you with us. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, an urgent warning just minutes before a mass shooting. When we come back here on Morning News Now, what the mother of the alleged gunman in last week's school shooting in Georgia reportedly told school officials less than an hour before the tragedy. And jury selection set to begin for 3 former police officers accused in the beating death of Tyre Nichols. Stay with us. We're back with the latest developments in last week's school shooting in Georgia and new information about the moments leading up to the tragedy. A relative of the teenage suspect charged in the case says his mother called the school with an urgent warning before the shooting happened. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson has those details.
Just move with purpose. Come on.
Troubling new details about the deadly mass shooting at Appalachia High School on Wednesday. The Washington Post reporting that Marcy Gray, the mother of the suspected gunman, tried to warn authorities, making a 10-minute call to the school at 9:50 a.m., half an hour before the gunfire erupted. Gray writing in text messages to her sister Annie Brown, "I was the one that notified the school counselor at the high school, and I told them it was an extreme emergency and for them to go immediately and find my son to check on him." NBC News confirmed the call with Brown, but has not seen or verified the text messages. One of the students in Gray's class reportedly saw an official looking for Gray moments before the shooting began.
She thought that he was another kid with a very similar name. And then about 10 to 15 minutes later, that's when the one they were looking for came shooting. If they would have acted in the beginning, maybe some of the lives could have been saved today.
In all, 2 students and 2 teachers were killed. 9 others were injured. In a statement to NBC News, Barrow County School System says they are not commenting on specific details. With the shooter and his father in police custody, both pleading not guilty to multiple counts of felony murder, investigators are now working to uncover a motive as the community grapples with unspeakable loss.
Our thanks to Priscilla Thompson for that report. The district attorney says as the investigation continues, the father could face additional charges for the surviving victims. Now to Tennessee, where jury selection is set to begin today in the federal trial of 3 former Memphis police officers charged in the death of Tyre Nichols. Nichols was beaten by officers after being pulled over in what police initially said was reckless driving. Police video shows the stop then escalated into a violent exchange that left Nichols in critical condition before he died 3 days later. These officers have since been charged with depriving Nichols of his rights through excessive force, failure to intervene, and obstruction of justice. They've each pleaded not guilty. Joining us for more, NBC News legal analyst Danny Savalos. Danny, good to have you with us. So this trial expected to last 3 to 4 weeks. What can we expect, especially from jury selection, in a trial like this? What are some of the things we're looking at today?
Always challenging to prosecute former police officers, even if they were former and even if they're alleged to have done some really bad things. You have to be really careful in jury selection and maybe throw some of the conventional wisdom out the window and really just go for jurors who seem to be listening to the judge's explanation of what's going on. See if there's a connection. See if you can sense anything about them. But the reality is, when it comes to jury selection, I've long believed it's an exercise in astrology. You never really know, and conventional wisdom is anything but conventional wisdom about certain people and how they vote and how they may lean.
2 officers have actually already pleaded guilty in this case. They could be called to testify against these 3 officers. What kind of impact could they have?
Devastating. Anytime you get cooperating witnesses, people who are willing to plead guilty and testify against their co-defendants, it creates terror in the defense because you don't want to be the last one going to trial. It's a race sometimes because the value of a cooperator's testimony, the first cooperator's testimony is worth much more than the 3rd or 4th. But in this case, the reason I think you see at least a few of the defendants going to trial, not everyone pleading guilty, is take a look at what the recommended sentences are for the ones who have pleaded guilty. We're talking about 40 years. When you have those kinds of numbers, that's the kind of thing that the remaining defendants say, well, we might as well roll the dice because a recommended sentence of 40 years is no deal at all. We might as well go to trial because we've got nothing to lose.
A reminder, I said this is the federal case. They also still face state charges. Remind us the differences here. Is it possible this case could then impact the state one in any way?
Federal and state authorities are considered separate sovereigns, separate kingdoms as far as the Constitution is concerned. And in high-profile police brutality cases like this, you will see 2 prosecutions. The federal prosecutions are really more about the deprivation of civil rights and then an obstruction of justice set of charges as well. The deprivation of civil rights resulted in a death, which is part of the statute. Meanwhile, in state court, you have the classic murder charges. Murder is a charge that almost entirely exists in state courts. Those are the prosecutors who handle those kinds of street crimes, related crimes. So you have a lot of similar elements. And the burden of proof, the evidence that's going to come out in this federal case is obviously going to be immensely helpful to the state in their prosecution of murder. At the same time, for the defense, it's helpful to get some of this testimony out, lock them in, and then use that same testimony later on in case anyone testifies inconsistently. But, Joe, a lot of the witnesses in this case are not humans. They are videos. And that's the challenge for the modern criminal defense attorney. Videos, unfortunately, do not lie, at least from the perspective of the defendant.
Over the last few years, have we seen a change in prosecutors' willingness to prosecute police officers in situations like this?
Absolutely, and especially in the high-profile cases, and especially in cases where they're caught on video. This is a relatively new development, Joe. We didn't have the proliferation of video even 10 years ago that we do today. So something that might have gone into the ether is now on record, often unbeknownst to the officers and the defendants themselves.
All right, Danny Ceballos, good to have you with us. Thank you so much. Coming up, Apple taking a bite out of AI technology. That's right, we're going to get an early look at the tech giant's latest products being unveiled today. This is Morning News Now. Welcome back. Today could be the most important event of the year for Apple. The tech giant will be unveiling its newest product, the iPhone 16. The device expected to usher in a new era in artificial intelligence, only this AI is called Apple Intelligence. The event will also introduce new versions of its popular AirPod headphones and some Apple Watches. NBC News business and data correspondent Brian Chung is here with more. So the theme of the event is It's Glow Time, a nod to Siri's new interface.
Right.
Siri was, I guess, like AI Lite or intro to AI. So explain to us what Apple Intelligence is, what the company hopes to do with it.
Yeah, and by the way, we just have to acknowledge that usually these announcements were dialed into the hardware, right? Like, what about the new hardware is going to be blowing our minds? Well, not really all that much, Joe, because the iPhone 16 is likely going to look exactly like the 15, maybe a little bit larger on the Max phones and the Pro versions. That's what we're hearing in terms of the rumors here. But yeah, really the focus is on Apple Intelligence, which they did unveil in part earlier in the summer. Now, this is going to be a smarter Siri. It could also include fun features like Genmojis, where you can just type in exactly, I want a shark on a skateboard, and it can generate that Genmoji you can send to your friends. But here's the interesting thing, Joe. Usually when Apple rolls out the new hardware, they include the new software as well. But apparently some snags in Apple Intelligence, according to the rumors, could mean that they might delay the release of some of the more important and kind of flashy features until perhaps as late as next year. So we'll have to hear from Apple exactly what features in Apple Intelligence they'll roll out today and which ones they might wait to roll out later on.
So Apple Intelligence has been available to some iPhone 15 users in the beta phase, right? Today it'll become, or soon it'll become more widely available. Just in the grander scheme of AI and everything we've been talking about over the last year or so, what does this mean for Apple?
Yeah, well, look, I think when it comes to the competition heating up in the space, you have OpenAI, you have Google, you have Apple, you have a number of other players in the space. Apple appears to be taking a little bit more of a conservative step here. So when you look at Google, they're piloting and already unveiling in many cases some of these crazy new features that they've been teasing. Like, for example, you can have your phone just kind of have your camera on. You can scan around your room. And if you forgot your glasses, you talk to Google and say, where did I leave my glasses? And it'll say, hey, you left it right next to your coffee mug on your desk. Apple's not unveiling anything that crazy. They have concerns about privacy, and they have concerns about just whether or not people want those types of features, which is a reason why, all right, they're going to incorporate a little bit of a smarter Siri that can scan across your apps and say, hey, where did mom want me to meet up in my reservation for dinner tonight, and then pinpoint you on the Maps app to get you to that point. But again, we'll have to see how they roll it out. We got to hear the details later on
It's
today.
no secret iPhone sales aren't what they used to be. I mean, the technology's better, so you can keep your phone longer, but maybe some of the new products haven't gotten people excited. Could this get people excited? Is that what they're hoping for? And talk about some of the other stuff we might see unveiled today, too.
Yeah, well, Apple's hoping for it, right? When you consider that their last earnings report, it was a 10% decline in iPhone sales that they reported. Now, analysts and also Apple fanatics would probably be like, wait, that's the end of the world, but not necessarily, because a few years ago, Apple said, look, it's okay if people don't pay $1,000 every year to get a new phone, as long as they're buying our services. They still need to make money. Subscribe to Apple Music, subscribe to Apple TV. They hope that Apple AI, some of those features will be things that people will pay for down the line as well. So when it comes to that, yes, that's a big piece of the equation. But the other piece is the wearables. So things like the AirPods and also the Apple Watch, which we do expect Apple to refresh. That could be big news today as well. Although I want to point out some of these new features on those new wearables. If they do have a new AirPods, you can have that new USB-C port. So yeah, unfortunately, it's another new port that you might have to get a new cable for.
Port thing.
I know. They're trying to standardize it with all the other products, so that is something important to watch for as well.
That is important. Brian Chung, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Staying on your wallet, it's peak hurricane season, and a new survey suggests homeowners aren't feeling so confident about their cash. CNBC's Savannah Henao is here with that and some other money news. Savannah, good morning.
Hey, Joe. Yeah, good morning. Well, we hit the peak of hurricane season this week. As you mentioned, it's actually tomorrow, September 10th. And a new Bankrate survey finds that more than a quarter of homeowners say they're financially unprepared for the potential cost of any type of extreme weather event. About 15% say they wouldn't be able to pay their insurance deductible without going into debt. More than 40% of homeowners haven't done anything in the past 5 years to protect against property damage. The CEO of Waffle House has died at the age of 58. The board of the restaurant chain issuing a statement saying Walt Emmer had been dealing with a long illness. He joined Waffle House in 1992 and quickly rose up the ranks, becoming president in 2002 and later adding the titles of CEO and chairman. Waffle House opened in 1955 and now has nearly 2,000 locations in 25 states. And, well, fall doesn't officially start for about another 2 weeks, but Lego is already getting set for the scary season. It released the Disney issue of Tim Burton's The Nightmare Before Christmas set this weekend, just in time for Halloween decorating. The kit, which has almost 2,200 pieces, features 8 characters from the movie, including Jack Skellington, Sally, and the ghost dog Zero. It's also a hot commodity already on back order, but if you order now, you should still get it in plenty of time before Halloween, Joe.
All right, that's very cute. I wore a sweater this weekend, so I think fall is now here.
I am holding on to summer.
All right. I don't blame you.
Nope.
All right. Savannah, thanks so much. Appreciate it. Coming up, he is the face of this weekend's biggest box office hit. Now, Beetlejuice actor Michael Keaton is hoping to reclaim his real name. Not Beetlejuice. We're going to explain next on Morning News Now. The NFL season officially kicked off this week, but we already know something important about the final game of the season, the Super Bowl. It might be 5 months away, but Apple Music and Rock Nation announced that rapper Kendrick Lamar will be performing the 2025 Apple Music Super Bowl halftime show. Lamar said in a statement, quote, "Rap music is still the most impactful genre to date, and I'll be there to remind the world why." The 17-time Grammy winner, also a Pulitzer Prize winner, did perform at the 2022 halftime show along with fellow hip-hop icons Eminem, Mary J. Blige, 50 Cent, Snoop Dogg, and Dr. Dre. This season's Super Bowl will take place, mark your calendars, February 9th in New Orleans. Not a surprising pick at all. He'll be great.
No, so great. I mean, and, you know, Taylor will maybe be there. If the Chiefs are there, they have songs together.
Let's
Who knows?
One step at a time.
Over the weekend at the multiplex, the juice was loose again. Tim Burton's sequel, Beetlejuice, raked in a whopping $110 million for its box office debut, which made it the second highest grossing September movie ever.
As the cast celebrates this spectacular opening weekend, one of the stars is reclaiming his name. Literally, actor Michael Keaton says he plans to start using his real last name on projects after decades of using a different stage name. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin explains.
The star of Beetlejuice has adopted a new stage name.
I'm going to make you so happy.
No longer just Michael Keaton, he's adding in his real last name to form Michael Keaton Douglas. The 73-year-old revealing to People magazine he changed his name in the 1970s, picking Michael Keaton out of a phone book because Screen Actors Guild rules don't allow members to use a name that may cause confusion. And there was already a pretty famous Michael Douglas.
Greed, for lack of a better word, is good.
Michael Keaton Douglas says he intended to use the new name on his latest directorial project, Knox Goes Away. But amid the stress of making the film, he forgot to give them enough time to put it in, according to People. Name changes have a long history in Hollywood.
Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
Before she was Marilyn Monroe, she was Norma Jean Baker. John Wayne, Marion Robert Morrison. Emma Stone is actually...
My real name is Emily. It's sort of like when you register a business and you can't have the same name as someone else.
And in music, names often turn creative.
When did you go with John Legend? Well, it was a nickname that some friends started calling me in the studio.
For a period of time, musical icon Prince chose to go by this unpronounceable love symbol.
Well, my name is very spiritual to me.
But that was way too confusing for fans, and he eventually changed it back. It just goes to show, in the vast world of showbiz, you can always reinvent yourself, or at least your name.
And thanks to Dana Griffin for that report. How interesting.
Yes, and of course you're going to go by your real name now, right?
Yes, which I shall reveal tomorrow.
That's a good tease. We went down a rabbit hole with this, like Diane Keaton. Her real name is Diane Hall, but she had the same issue. She had to go with a different name, and so it's interesting to see that people had to do that.
That's a rule.
I know, exactly.
It's her name. It's her name. You can't really help it.
Yep. Oh,
yeah,
you know,
it's funny how he picked it out of a phone book. Keaton isn't even his name at all.
Exactly. I think it worked out just fine for him. All right, that's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
Stay with us, though. The news continues right now. Good morning. Thanks for joining us this Monday. I'm Savannah Sellers.
I'm Joe Pryor. Right now on Morning News Now, a massive manhunt underway after police say a former National Guard member opened fire on a busy Kentucky highway. What we've learned about the alleged gunman and the latest on the search that has left a community on edge. Plus, disturbing new details in that deadly Georgia school shooting. What the suspect's mother reportedly told school officials minutes before the attack. Also this morning, make or break. We're just over 24 hours away from the first and possibly only debate between Vice President Kamala Harris and former President Donald Trump. How each candidate is preparing and the new polling out with less than 2 months to go. Mystery illness. Residents in a small Texas town say they're being plagued by a serial sickness, while some are blaming Bitcoin. And stoking the fire. It was a music festival mess that went viral. Now the founder of the infamous Fyre Festival is making a comeback. Later in the hour, we're going to bring you Savannah's exclusive conversation with Billy McFarland, who says this time he's going to get it right. This must have been a fascinating conversation.
It really was. And the big key there is that he's got help. It's not just him. And we also exclusively are revealing the date and location that he says it's going to happen, which is sooner than you might think.
But there's still some question marks, right?
Many.
All right. We'll get into that in a little bit. Let's start this hour with the ongoing manhunt for a gunman authorities say is armed and dangerous.
Yeah, a 32-year-old man has been identified as the suspect responsible for a shooting near a highway that left 5 people injured, some of them seriously. NBC News correspondent Priya Shrithar is in London, Kentucky with the latest. Hey, Priya, good morning.
Good morning, guys. Schools here are closed today as police continue to scour the densely wooded area near Interstate 75 where this terrifying shooting took place. And new this morning, we are learning more information about the suspect's background. In rural Kentucky, an intensifying manhunt is now entering its 3rd day as authorities make a desperate plea to the shooter who opened fire on a Kentucky highway Saturday, wounding at least 5 people.
We would ask that he would give himself up, and we're not going to quit until we do lay hands on him.
Authorities say 32-year-old Joseph Couch purchased an AR-15 on Saturday in London, Kentucky, drove up Interstate 75, parked his car on a service road, then perched on a ledge below a cliff where he began shooting multiple rounds into 12 vehicles, striking multiple victims in the chest, arm, and head.
Multiple gunshot victims. The shooter, they don't know exactly where he is.
Christina Donato was driving cross country with a friend on I-75 when the shooting happened.
We were both in shock about it, because it seemed like we literally dodged a bullet.
Now, dozens of law enforcement from multiple agencies are hunting him down, using drones, helicopters, and canines to scour thousands of acres of rugged terrain.
You actually need machetes and everything to get through these thickets of woods. And, you can't do it very fast because you don't want to leave no rock unturned.
Couch is described as a 5'10" white male weighing 154 pounds. And while authorities believe he's still in the woods near the shooting scene, they admit that anything is possible, including the possibility that he took his own life.
We think that he's still in that area,
but he could not be in that area. He could be somewhere else, anywhere else.
Now the community on edge as the dangerous suspect remains on the run.
Oh my God, I'm scared. I'm going to be praying for the community and our first responders.
Now authorities say Joseph Couch was a 4-year member of an engineering battalion in the National Guard. They say they do believe this attack was planned, but they haven't revealed a motive. Guys?
All right, Priya, thank you so much.
Turning now to Georgia, we're learning new details about the school shooting last week that claimed the lives of 2 students and 2 teachers. A relative of the suspect charged for those deaths says his mother called the school before the killings, warning of an extreme emergency. NBC News correspondent Priscilla Thompson joins us now from Winder, Georgia, with the latest. Priscilla, good morning.
Joe, good morning. Right now, dozens of teachers from across the school district have gathered here at the high school as folks in this community are struggling to make sense of that 10-minute phone call that the mother reportedly made, issuing that urgent warning 30 minutes before the shooting occurred. This morning, chilling new details about the day a 14-year-old gunman opened fire at his Georgia high school. NBC News has learned from the shooter's aunt that a half hour before the deadly shooting, the gunman's mother called Appalachia High School to warn them about her son. In messages obtained by the Washington Post, Marcy Gray texted her sister about the call. I told them it was an extreme emergency and for them to go immediately and find my son to check on him. Staff at the high school took action, the Post reports, but not in time to stop the shooting that killed 4 people. The accused shooter seen in court for the first time Friday in shackles.
You're charged with 4 counts of felony murder.
His father, Colin Gray, also facing charges of involuntary manslaughter and second-degree murder. Both pleading not guilty.
Do you have weapons in the house? I do. Are they accessible to him?
They are. I mean, there's nothing loaded, but they are down.
Newly obtained audio from a 2023 interview with investigators revealing the father's reaction to allegations that his son made shooting threats online last year.
I'm telling you right now, we talk about it quite a bit. All the school shootings, things that happen.
Yeah,
hey, are you getting picked on at school? He is. He's getting picked on at school, and is everything okay? That's why I keep going up there.
2 law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation tell NBC News the shooter received an AR-15 style rifle from his father after that 2023 interview. This morning, the small town of Winder coming together to honor the lives lost.
He was taken too soon from us. We are so devastated.
And as the community here continues to grieve, the district attorney says that the shooter's father could soon face additional charges for other surviving victims. Meanwhile, schools here are set to reopen tomorrow, the superintendent says, with extra security, but the high school will remain closed. Joe?
All right, Priscilla, thank you so much.
Now let's get to the race for the White House. Vice President Harris and former President Trump are preparing for their first, maybe only debate tomorrow in Philadelphia. It comes as new polling shows the candidates in a dead heat among likely voters. Our senior Washington correspondent and NBC News Now anchor Hallie Jackson has the latest.
Hey there, good morning. We are looking ahead, of course, to that debate, this race's most high-profile primetime moment yet, with 2 very different candidates getting ready in 2 very different ways. Their first face-off just 1 day away, with the stage and the candidates set to go.
Are you ready, Madam Vice President?
Ready. Vice President Harris with a thumbs up in Pittsburgh, where she's been prepping. 2 sources familiar with the sessions say she's been practicing with extended mock sessions on specific topics and getting ready in case Mr. Trump were to lash out.
Look, it's time to turn the page on the divisiveness.
Harris stopping at a spice shop in Pittsburgh. For his part, the former president's holding policy sessions to prepare for the debate. One front Mr. Trump sees as a potential policy weakness for Harris, the U.S. withdrawal from Afghanistan. And this morning, House Republicans are releasing a scathing new report saying Biden administration officials watered down security warnings ahead of the chaotic withdrawal, a withdrawal initiated by former President Trump. Democrats have dismissed the report in advance as partisan, and the White House says it's based on cherry-picked facts and inaccurate characterizations. Ahead of tomorrow's debate, some allies of the former president suggest he should focus on policy and avoid personal attacks.
I think that when he stays on the issues, policies, absolutely, those are the winning issues.
Former President Trump on the trail in battleground Wisconsin this weekend.
We're run by stupid people, and we found that out at the debate with Joe. How did that work out? And we're going to find it out again on Tuesday night.
And in a social media post online suggesting he may imprison his political opponents if he wins, repeating his election fraud lie, and writing, anyone believed to have cheated will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include long-term prison sentences. The latest signal he may not accept the results if he loses. Mr. Trump also blasting former Vice President Dick Cheney and his daughter Liz, the former Congresswoman and Trump critic, for endorsing Kamala Harris.
Donald Trump presents a challenge and a threat fundamentally to the republic.
And new this morning, the Harris campaign is rolling out a new ad featuring clips from former Trump administration officials like former VP Mike Pence, former Defense Secretary Mark Esper, warning about the dangers of a second Trump term, with the campaign official confirming it is set to air in Mr. Trump's backyard on debate day in West Palm Beach. All of it, of course, against the backdrop from new numbers from one of the most closely watched polls in the country, showing that even with the enthusiasm Vice President Harris's nomination generated among Democrats, this race looks a lot like what we saw back in July, with Mr. Trump at 48%, Vice President Harris at 47% among likely voters nationally. That is well inside the margin of error. Back to you.
All right, Hallie Jackson, thank you so much.
For more on tomorrow's debate, we're now joined by NBC News global security reporter Dan DeLuce. Dan, good to have you with us. Foreign policy is important, but it has not been front and center in this year's campaign so far. But we've got pressing matters. Ukraine, of course, Gaza, China. There are stark differences between the candidates and who's advising and coaching them. So let's start with the Vice President, Kamala Harris. What do we know about her approach and the people around her?
You know, Joe, I think the key to understanding this is that her views on foreign policy have really been shaped by her time in office as vice president, where she's been meeting with and working with allies around the world directly to try to present a united front against Russia and China and Iran. But the people who've really been by her side throughout are not on the campaign. That's her staff. She's got a national security advisor, very experienced, Phil Gordon, who has worked under the Obama and Clinton administrations, an expert on Europe and the Middle East. And it's very much a conventional kind of view, a democratic establishment view that the U.S. has a role to play in the world. It's not isolationist. It's that America will be stronger and safer if we stay engaged, very much emphasizing allies. But there is this restraint aspect, too, which is that obviously the wars over the past 2 years in Iraq and Afghanistan did not go well, and that there has to be some humility and some pragmatic view of when to use military force. So I think the biggest difference between the candidates on all of this comes down to allies, how you view your allies.
Dan, with former President Trump, we have his 4 years in office to look back on for guidance, but then, of course, many of his former advisors have fallen out of favor with him. What do we need to know about his approach and who is in his inner circle now?
I think the key test here for Trump really is loyalty. So if you've criticized him publicly or broken with him about who won the last election, you're not going to be on his speed dial. So he is turning to people like Keith Kellogg, who was actually Vice President Pence's national security advisor. There's no fixed team. It's very fluid. It's very ad hoc, as always. And there's no real coherent philosophy behind Trump's views on foreign policy. I think that's been clear from his time in office. He has one core kind of belief, though, dating back to the 80s, and that's the skepticism of allies, that he kind of really is skeptical that allies are doing what they should do, that they're basically getting a free ride. That's always been a theme from him. And so I think you'll see that in the debate, where I think Harris will argue that we need our allies to help strengthen our position in the world, and he'll argue otherwise.
All right, Dan DeLuce. Dan, appreciate your reporting this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Let's switch over now and talk about the latest on the wildfires burning out of control across California and Nevada. More than a dozen active fires are being fueled by an unrelenting heat wave.
The most dangerous is near Los Angeles. It's already forced thousands to evacuate. NBC News correspondent Dana Griffin is in Highland, California, near that fire, and joins us with the latest. Dana, good morning. What's the latest on the fires, including the one you're at right now, and are crews getting a handle on them?
Joe, good morning to you. So crews are trying to get a handle on it, but the issue here is the fire's unpredictability. You can see just behind me, we've been monitoring this ridge. We've seen flare-ups occur all morning long. And the issue is that the fire could go in any direction. Right now, it is currently burning toward the vast depths of the San Bernardino National Forest, which is a good thing. So not burning toward Highland or burning much further to Big Bear, but officials are keeping everyone on alert. That's why you've got some 3,200 people under evacuation orders here. Also in Clearwater, California, where there are some 4,000 residents were evacuated there, and you had some 30-plus structures that were destroyed and 40 to 50 vehicles. So firefighters are taking this very seriously. Now, back out here, when we talk about the line fire, they had some 300 lightning strikes on Saturday alone. Wow. And so when those lightning strikes occur, it can spark up fires anywhere. So they've got crews lighting all sides of the flames. Joe?
Goodness, they are battling just so much. Dana, tell us how evacuations are going. Are people heeding those warnings?
I would say for the most part they are. There are some evacuation warnings, but mandatory evacuations people are taking those fairly seriously. People are getting out of town. The hotel that we stayed at last night, they were at capacity because so many people were there, including firefighters. So it's a wait and see situation for a lot of people. Luckily here in San Bernardino County, no structures have been burned. So that is the great news. Firefighters, however, say that the first priority is saving lives, and then second is managing those homes. But in the meantime, we've seen people pack up, get out of town, some taking their pets with them. And when they can be let back in, we won't know until fire officials say it's all safe.
Dana, let's talk about the conditions out there. How are crews managing to stay safe with the dangerously high temperatures while facing those flames in the steep terrain?
Well, they're doing the best that they can. I think what the big challenge right now is smoke. That is hampering their ability to attack this fire from above because they can't really do it from the ground. It's such steep, rugged terrain. They're trying to do airdrops, but because of that thick smoke, which is going to be really prevalent when the sun comes up, they may not be able to drop as much water. And officials on the CAL FIRE website says that they believe the fire activity could pick up more today just because of the growth that we're seeing. There have been 3 firefighters injured here. I asked one of the spokespersons for CAL FIRE. They told me that it was pretty minor, but obviously heat is probably going to be a big challenge for firefighters as they try to get these flames under control. Savannah, Joe?
Dana, put this in context for us, wildfire season generally. How are we doing? We understand, as I mentioned a moment ago, there are these fires, in some cases pretty out of control in both California and Nevada. What's the season look like?
Yeah. This season started really early. Back in June, we were seeing fires. I remember the first one I covered this year was in Tracy, California. So they started a lot sooner because we had all of that growth because of the rain that we got during the winter season. It exploded all of this vegetation, and then by summer, it all dries out. So you've got this dry, tender grass that fuels these fires. I asked one of the spokespersons yesterday, where does this one fall on the scale of fires? And he says this one is pretty up there just because of the unpredictability. Usually they can figure out, okay, the head of the fire is heading in one direction, so that's where we're going to focus our resources. But in this case, they have to pretty much line the entire perimeter of the fire because it can go in either direction. And for them, that makes this a scarier situation, but they hope to try to get it under control. Right now, it's 0% contained, so that's a very low number. So at least they want to at least try to get it to 10 to 15% before I think they'll have a little bit of peace about what this fire will do. Savannah, Joe?
Dana Griffin, thank you very much.
It's not just the fires. We're keeping a close eye on a new tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico. For more, let's take a look at your morning news now weather.
Chief Meteorologist Ryan Hanrahan from our Connecticut station joins us. Hey, Ryan, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Savannah. Good morning, Joe. And yes, this is just about the peak of hurricane season, and we've got a tropical system in the Gulf of Mexico we're watching. Here it is. It doesn't have a name yet, but it will likely get a name later today as it moves north and it strengthens. See this red X here? That is the center of circulation. And in the last couple hours, what I've noticed is these thunderstorms have sort of moved right over the center of this system, which is a sure sign that this storm is going to begin to strengthen, and I think it takes off pretty quickly as it lifts to the north. It is very, very warm over the Gulf of Mexico, so that warm water is really going to be the fuel that this storm needs to strengthen. So right now, winds are about 50 miles per hour. It's moving to the northwest at 5 miles per hour. Here is the expected track of this storm. It looks like it is going to strengthen into a tropical storm later today, and then by Wednesday, it strengthens into a hurricane. This is the forecast from the National Hurricane Center. It keeps the storm center to the east of Houston, but it does move it right toward Louisiana. So it looks like the Louisiana coast is most at risk for this storm. And not only are we looking at storm surge flooding and strong winds, but a lot of heavy rain as well. You can see here this dark red is over 5 inches of rain. So that's going to be a threat. And once the storm moves inland, as hurricanes do, they're going to weaken. It's going to weaken pretty quickly. However, that moisture coming in off the Gulf of Mexico is going to move inland as well. So heavy rain is a threat later this week as far north as Little Rock, Arkansas, Memphis, Nashville, even up toward Louisville and St. Louis. So we're going to be watching this very, very carefully over the coming days. Hurricane watches will likely be posted for parts of the U.S. Gulf Coast later on today. Out west, as we've been talking about this morning, a number of large wildfires burning really from the Canadian border all the way down into Southern California. More than 70 large fires are currently burning, and that's more than 2 million acres. So it's a very busy wildfire season, and the heat continues, and that heat and that dry brush is making this even worse. We've got a heat warning in effect for Los Angeles once again today. It's been a brutal heat wave for Southern California. 24 million people impacted by the high heat across Southern California. The good news is today is really the last day of the big heat in Southern California. Things will begin to improve from there. So high temperatures today in the 100s in Southern California, but you move east, the heat continues to build across the northern plains, 90s across portions of Nebraska, South and North Dakota into Montana. Farther to the east, across the Northeast, it's beautiful. Once again, temperatures in the 60s across New England and upstate New York. So for today, record high temperatures in the Southwest, well above average across the Rockies and the Plains. A little damp down toward Florida and along the Gulf Coast. We will be watching that storm moving inland. Tropical rain for Tuesday and Wednesday. Hurricane conditions possible across far southeast Texas, Louisiana, and then that rain will spread to the north. And we do warm things up a little bit across the Northeast by Thursday and Friday. Looks like we'll see temperatures in the 80s. So our beautiful stretch of weather from New England down toward D.C. continues, but the West cooling down finally. Los Angeles needs a break. They have been extremely hot, still above 100 degrees today near Los Angeles.
God, they really do. They deserve the break.
Really.
Ryan, thank you.
You're welcome.
Much more to come on this hour of Morning News Now. Later this hour, controversy off the field. Star receiver Tyreek Hill detained outside Miami's Hard Rock Stadium just hours before the Dolphins-Jaguars game. But we're learning about what happened.
Up first after the break, gold standard. We're going to take you to Paris for some of the most memorable moments from the Paralympics. Stay with us.
Welcome back. Well, it is official. The baton has been passed to Los Angeles after the Paralympics wrapped up in Paris last night. Here with a look at all the excitement from throughout this year's games and the closing ceremony. For one last time, it's NBC's Emily Aketa.
Well, Paris sold a record-breaking 12.5 million tickets between the Olympics and the Paralympics, and the games ended the same way they started, in the pouring rain. But that weather did not put a damper on what has been a magical and memorable summer of competition here in the City of Light. The closing ceremonies brought all of the magic with electrifying performances, music, the athletes, of course, parading in what became not the Stade de France, but the Stade de Danse. Team USA bringing home a jaw-dropping 105 medals, 36 of those golds, and those include some record-breaking wins. Team USA's women's sitting volleyball team and the men's wheelchair basketball team both winning a three-peat, their third gold in a row. I talked to some of the players after really an electrifying match. Take a listen.
Our whole thing is about just working together as a team, and I'm just so proud of the ladies that I just got to do that with, and it just feels amazing.
Three-peat, can you believe it?
We did it. Go USA.
Meanwhile, the debate over the future of the Olympic rings on the Eiffel Tower continues to intensify. The mayor of Paris has said she wants to keep the rings on the Eiffel Tower, this iconic landmark, until at least LA 2028, potentially longer. But we're hearing from the descendants of the Eiffel Tower's designer that they plan to fight that proposal. They want the rings to come down by the end of the year. By the way, it's not these rings that will stay on the Eiffel Tower. City officials say they will be swapped out with a lighter, more weather-resistant set. Back to you.
All right, Emily, we'll see what happens with that. Thank you so much.
I know a lot of folks who think they can come down in a few months. All right, more international news now. Russia's defense ministry says it's conquering new ground in eastern Ukraine.
NBC News foreign correspondent Claudio Lubanga has the details on that and other world headlines. Claudio, good morning.
Savannah Joe, good morning. Well, that's right. Russia's defense ministry said that its armed forces have now seized yet another strategic town in the region of Donbass in eastern Ukraine. Now, the name of the town is Novorodivka and is less than 12 miles east of Pokrovsk, a small city but very militarily strategic as an important node for rail and road logistics. As Russian forces continue to advance in Ukraine, Romania, a NATO member, said a Russian drone violated its airspace on Sunday. Romania deployed F-16 jets to monitor its airspace, while NATO allies were being kept informed. And let's go now to Madrid, where Edmundo González, the opposition leader in Venezuela, has arrived on Sunday after fleeing his home country. About a week ago, Venezuelan authorities issued an arrest warrant against González, accusing him of terrorism, conspiracy and other crimes related to the disputed presidential elections back in July. President Maduro was declared a winner of the election with 51% of the vote, but the opposition claimed there is proof that González won instead. The disputed elections sparked deadly protests in which thousands were arrested. And let's end this tour of the world on the tennis court in your neck of the woods. Over the weekend, Belarusian tennis player Aryna Sabalenka captured the Women's U.S. Open Championship. You might remember she came in second place last year after getting bested by Coco Gauff. And on the men's side, listen to this, Jannik Sinner became the first Italian man to win the U.S. Open after beating American Taylor Fritz in straight sets. But the big win came with a little bit of controversy. Sinner was allowed to compete despite 2 positive tests back in March, but was later cleared. Despite the cloudy start, Sinner says he's proud to have come through those difficulties to claim the title. He beat Taylor in 3 straight sets, and now he's coming back to Italy with the cup. Game, set, and match for Italy. Sorry, guys.
I know, wow.
I wanted Taylor to win, but man, Sinner played great the entire tour.
He's so good. I know, but it's like, couldn't have just
time.
gotten one set.
Right. He was very close on the third set there. But all right, Claudio, thank you so much. Congrats. Appreciate it. Right. Coming up, the man behind one of the most famous flameouts of recent years says he's ready to relight the fire.
What do you get for $1.1 million?
So you will be on a boat. You'll be scuba diving with me. You'll be bouncing around to other islands and other countries on small planes.
Yeah, you heard that, $1 million. I sat down for an exclusive interview with Fyre Fest founder Billy McFarland, who says he's now working on Fyre Festival 2. Why he says this time will be different. Welcome back. It's been 7 years since the now infamous Fyre Festival, where people traveled to the Bahamas expecting luxurious accommodations, A-list celebrities, and musical acts. Instead, the event turned chaotic, angering ticket holders and landing its founder in prison. Well, I sat down with that founder, Billy McFarland, who's actually planning a new festival. And he says this time he's going to get it right.
Turn around. Turn this bus right around.
It's been 7 years since Fyre Festival sent the internet ablaze and made headlines worldwide.
No one can get in the rooms. No one can get their bags. We've been here for hours.
The 2017 event was billed as an ultra-glamorous music festival getaway with a marketing campaign featuring supermodels and stars like Bella Hadid and Kendall Jenner and artists like Blink-182. But in reality,
this is an absolute disaster.
No fancy lodging or five-star catering. Instead, emergency relief tents and a viral cheese sandwich. And the mayhem became a streaming sensation during the pandemic, with Netflix and Hulu documenting the disaster.
These are the lockers that are just being set up. We are taking off the plastic that are supposed to hold our valuables.
Billy McFarland was behind it all, and it landed him behind bars for 4 years for wire fraud and ultimately owing $26 million to investors.
Fyre Festival 2 tickets.
Released from prison in 2022, McFarland is back with promises of a legitimate festival, revealing his plans exclusively to NBC News.
Fyre Festival 2 is happening April 25th. Of 2025, so we're 7.5 months away. We have a private island off the coast of Mexico in the Caribbean.
McFarland says the difference this time around will be using existing infrastructure, including hotels and restaurants, and a production company to handle all the logistics.
Have the conversations at least begun with any musical acts?
We haven't booked any talent for Fyre 2. It's not going to be just music. For example, Karate Combat, we're in talks with them to set up a pit to have live fights at Fyre Festival 2.
McFarland says he's already sold 100 tickets at $500 a piece, and packages will go on sale ranging from $1,400 to $1.1 million.
What do you get for $1.1 million?
Yeah, so you will be on a boat. You'll be scuba diving with me. You'll be bouncing around to other islands and other countries on small planes.
You believe someone will pay $1.1 million for a Fyre Festival 2 experience?
So we put applications for the $1 million ticket up a few months ago. We had over 100 people apply.
For someone who made it to the Bahamas for Fyre Festival 1, they were sleeping on a wet mattress, in a tent, little food, little water. How would you convince them to buy a ticket to Fyre Festival 2?
I think it's hard because this is the deeper issue where there are people who were legitimately hurt and let down from Fyre 1.
Among those impacted, local Bahamian workers.
One woman said she took out $50,000 from her savings to pay those that she had hired on the island. Have you paid those people back specifically?
That has been one of my biggest priorities. I have paid directly out of my pocket dozens of Bahamian workers who were owed. I think ultimately there were hundreds of people who worked for 18 hours a day for weeks on end to try to make Fyre 1 happen, and they all need to be compensated, and that is really, really important to me.
How will you guarantee the safety of guests?
The best way to guarantee safety is for me to have nothing to do with the safety and security aspect of the festival, and we have handed off control to a major festival operator.
With those operations off his plate, McFarland says he's playing a different role this time.
I've been in this hard place where I've had to play a character of Billy and of Fyre for the past 2 years since I got out of jail, and the past couple of weeks have been this weird turning point now where all of our partners and stakeholders who are really in charge are like, okay, the character is over, and now you need to become the business person.
So if we know a character, who's the real Billy?
I think it's someone who wakes up and sweats every morning, understanding that the mountain that I have to climb to be able to shake the hands of everybody who I wronged gets bigger and bigger by the day, and there's no end in sight. But I think it's motivating in one sense, but it's daunting, where it's really hard to tread water, and every day is treading water, and just to kind of keep my head above it.
As for the infamous Fyre food,
we will have cheese sandwiches. Okay. They're going to be super expensive too. We're going to make them really good. That'll be the highest priced food item, I think.
All right. So I think one of the big questions folks have is he even allowed to do this after being convicted the first time?
Yes, a great question. And the answer is yes, he actually is. There were no type of stipulations, nothing established within what his punishment was that said you can't do the same line of work, which sometimes does happen with this type of crime, but not in this case. One thing, he cannot be any type of director level at a public company. This, however, is a private company. As far as the money piece goes, he does make an income from a marketing company where he has clients as well as speaking engagements. He has to pay a percentage of that to that restitution, that $26 million he owes, and he says 10% of everything they make off Fyre Festival 2 will go to paying people back.
Assuming it happens and they make money off of it.
Correct.
Which we'll have to wait and see, because
maybe
no
not
acts
$1
booked
million.
Yet.
Ticket.
Exactly.
No acts booked yet.
No acts
Correct.
booked yet. All right.
No talent booked. He said those conversations are beginning, but he also stresses it's not just about the music. They're going to have other types of things like live fights and things like that. So
interesting. All right.
Different experience for sure.
We know you'll stay on it. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Savannah. Now to a small town in Texas where residents are blaming a mysterious sickness on a nearby Bitcoin mine. But the company that runs the mine says there is no proof of a connection. NBC News correspondent Kathy Park has that story.
My daughter had a seizure on the 4th of July.
In the small town of Granbury, Texas.
Our grandson was one of them. He started having fluid leak out of his ears, had 4 ear infections in 4 months.
People reported they were getting sick.
I was walking to my barn and It felt like I got hit in the chest by a baseball.
Deanna Lakey, a nurse, says she ended up being the patient.
And then I started becoming sick.
Sorry, sweetheart.
I just felt like that I was going to die.
Then at a town meeting where she heard other people blame a nearby Bitcoin mine for their illnesses, it clicked.
We live very close to the Bitcoin farm, and we are definitely subject to the sounds that are going on 24 hours a day.
Marathon Digital owns and operates this Bitcoin mine here in Granbury, a massive network of fans cooling off thousands of computers, creating cryptocurrency.
And how loud is this noise? Describe it to me.
So it's like sleeping with a vacuum cleaner in your bed.
Cheryl Shadden lives across the street.
This is the noise at my barn, which is just a couple hundred yards away from my house.
And believes the noise is making her sick.
My ears buzz 24/7. I've got headaches, I've got dizziness.
Residents say it's even affecting the animals.
I had a dog that for the last year, she was ripping her fur out.
While there's no direct evidence linking the crypto mine to these ailments, Dr. Michael Osborne, a researcher and doctor at Massachusetts General Hospital, says there is research showing there could be a correlation between persistent noise and health impacts.
It's certainly possible and plausible that long-term exposure to these sort of stressful insults could lead to adverse health consequences.
A clinical audiologist in Granbury says more patients are seeking his help.
This summer, we've probably seen a significant increase of 100 to 150% more patients complaining about noise exposure.
0.6, I measured it.
During our recent visit to Granbury, we checked out the noise for ourselves. Still audible, but lower than what residents say they're used to.
We're still getting readings up close to 70.
Members of the community are demanding that Marathon turn down the volume. In a statement to NBC News, Marathon said it holds itself to the highest health and safety standards. Marathon saying they recently broke ground on a sound wall and are expecting to transition 50% of the mine to quieter cooling technologies by the end of the year. The company also says it's investing millions of dollars to reduce the perceived loudness of the facility. As a result, all levels measured around the facility are well below state and county law sound limits. There is no established link, medical or otherwise, between Marathon's operations and the ailments that are being alleged. Back at the Lakeys, they say their dream home has turned into a nightmare.
We are not complaining. We are not fighting it. We are asking for help to save our lives.
Kathy Park, NBC News, Granbury, Texas.
Interesting and important reporting there. Well, the record heat wave scorching parts of the U.S. may not make it seem like summer's coming to an end, but the seasons are changing, and the transition is bringing a very active tornado season.
Earlier this summer, Hollywood gave us its take on tornadoes with the release of the movie Twisters, which had the third highest grossing box office opening weekend of the year. The film, though, left many people asking how much of the movie is scientifically true. NBC's climate reporter Chase Kane breaks it down for us.
Cow. I gotta go, Julia. We got cows.
A cameo from a cow helped the original Twister become a cult classic in 1996.
It's headed right for us!
And inspired a new generation of storm chasers.
Are you seeing this? We got twins! Twins!
Those chasers made a comeback this summer in the sequel and now blockbuster hit Twisters.
That's right.
This time with dreams of taming a tornado.
You think you can disrupt a tornado?
In theory.
But while plenty of folks in Tornado Alley might like the idea of dissipating nature's most violent storms, is that based in science or just Hollywood?
It's not really realistic.
Joshua Werman is a tornado expert at Illinois, and beyond how realistic it might be to tame a tornado, he has ethical concerns about trying it in real life.
The main efforts we try to make with tornado science is trying to understand them better so we can have better predictions. Let's say you dissipated that tornado or dissipated that thunderstorm. Well, maybe it just reforms 5 miles downstream and hits the next town. So you saved your town, but hurt the next town. Maybe more people die in the next town.
The reality of,
sucking up the water to stop the tornado, I think is, not something that's, actively happening.
Karen Kosiba also studies tornadoes in Illinois, chasing them to study how they form. And she enjoyed the Hollywood take on her work.
I mean, certainly, they use a lot of good science words, which I thought was kind of fun. I mean, not necessarily in the right order, but, you heard things that you're like, yeah, but not exactly like that.
Whatever's in there is big.
This is an EF5.
When the movie got it right, you can thank some of the experts here at the National Weather Center in Norman, Oklahoma, because they taught the cast and crew about actual tornadoes, and then they even took some of them out on a real-life storm chase.
We are unfortunately in a lightning delay. Take shelter.
They were very interactive, asked lots of questions. It was clear that some had already done research. Daisy Edgar-Jones, who plays Kate, the main character in the movie, had a notebook. She was taking notes, and I was impressed.
While the movie mixes science with fiction,
Are those fireworks?
one reality it skipped over is how climate change is influencing when and where tornadoes form. So to explain more about that, here are my colleagues, meteorologists Bill Cairns and Catherine Prosiv.
See these red outlines? We're having an extremely active tornado season in this part of the country.
In the movie, all of these tornado outbreaks were taking place in Oklahoma. It makes Oklahoma look like the only place that gets tornadoes like this, but that's not the case.
No, this year, in fact, we had more tornadoes in the Midwest. So Iowa, Illinois, Nebraska were some of the hot spots. Good reminder, tornadoes can happen everywhere. Tornadoes are the most difficult to match up with Climate Connection. Part of the reason is because they're the smallest in size, harder for those climate models to catch on to, but the science is getting better.
And someday we'll probably be able to attribute more of them to climate change.
We never had a chance.
Very interesting. I knew a lot of it was fiction and not real, but it was interesting to hear kind of what was right.
I like the part where she goes, a lot of good words, not in the right order.
Not in the right order.
Well, it's a minor detail. It's Hollywood, baby.
That's right. All right. Thanks to Chase for that report.
Really interesting. Coming up, controversy before kickoff.
One of the NFL's biggest stars handcuffed hours before his first game of the season. What Tyre Nichols and police are now saying about the incident next. We're back with some money news. Boeing is hoping to land the plane on a new tentative labor deal, a union labor deal.
CNBC's Savannah Hanau has that and other money headlines for us. Hey, Savannah, good morning.
Hey, guys, good morning. Yeah, so Boeing strikes a tentative contract deal with its biggest union that could help avert a possible crippling strike later this week. Now, if approved by the Machinists Union, the 4-year contract includes a 25% pay hike and a commitment by Boeing to build its next commercial plane in the Seattle area. It would also be the first full new contract for workers in 16 years. The union represents more than 30,000 employees in the Pacific Northwest. DirecTV filing a complaint with the FCC accusing Disney of failing to negotiate in good faith in their dispute over distribution rights. More than 11 million DirecTV subscribers have been without access to Disney-owned channels, including ESPN and ABC for the past week. DirecTV says Disney has insisted it carry a fat bundle of channels, which includes less popular content, while Disney provides consumers with cheaper, skinnier packages. Disney says it continues to negotiate towards a deal. And listen to this, Elon Musk could end up being the world's first trillionaire. Yeah, that's with a T. A recent report from Informa Connect Academy, which works with a network of trusted brands worldwide, forecasts the Tesla CEO will hit that mark sometime in 2027, assuming his wealth it keeps growing at an average rate of 110% a year. Musk is currently the world's richest person, according to the Bloomberg Billionaires Index, with an estimated net worth of $251 billion. Jensen Huang, he's the CEO of AI chip giant NVIDIA, is forecast to become a trillionaire a year after Musk in 2028. A trillionaire.
So we don't hear much.
No, it's for good reason.
Trillionaire.
Selena Gomez is now a billionaire. That was also announced.
She just became a billionaire.
I thought that was cool. So
yeah, very cool. Yeah.
Very cool.
Thanks, Savannah. Appreciate it.
You got it.
All right, well, week one of this year's NFL season is almost officially in the books. We still have tonight's Jets versus 49ers Monday night game. Last night's primetime matchup was a nail-biter as the game between the Lions and Rams went into overtime as it capped off a thrilling slate of Sunday games. And the best part, the season, of course, just getting started. Here's NBC News correspondent Kaylee Hartung with all the excitement from the first full weekend of football.
Hey there. This weekend had a little bit of everything. We saw eagerly anticipated rookie debuts, a GOAT in the broadcast booth, and a remarkable comeback on the field. We even found out who's going to play the Super Bowl halftime show. But the big headline, a star player in handcuffs just hours before kickoff.
A wild Sunday of football, wrapping up late last night, with the first Sunday night football game of the season going to overtime, with the Lions outlasting the Rams. The day a roller coaster for the Dolphins.
They put him in handcuffs.
On his way to the game, Miami star wide receiver Tyre Nichols detained in cuffs near Hard Rock Stadium and accused of reckless driving. Officers surrounding Hill. Another angle showing the incident.
They arrested me!
The police department saying one of the officers involved in the incident has been placed on administrative duties during the investigation. Hill, speaking out after the game, asked why the police put him in handcuffs.
It wasn't disrespectful, you know, because my mom didn't raise me that way. Didn't cuss, didn't do none of that. So, like I said, I'm still trying to figure it out.
And reflecting.
What if I wasn't Tyreek Hill, bro? Like, worst case scenario.
But he was released in time to lead a comeback to beat the Jaguars, even making light of the situation with his touchdown celebration. Bills safety Damar Hamlin completing a remarkable comeback of his own. 20 months after suffering cardiac arrest on the field, Hamlin made his first start for the Bills in a win against the Cardinals. Also yesterday, the Cowboys-Browns game marking Tom Brady's move from the field to the broadcast booth. #1 draft pick Caleb Williams starting his career with a win, with some help from the Bears defense, including this scoop and score from Simone Biles' husband, defensive back Jonathan Owens.
And here's that big announcement that already has fans in a Super Bowl-sized frenzy. 17-time Grammy Award-winning rapper Kendrick Lamar will be this year's halftime headliner, so the countdown to the biggest game of the year is officially on. Back to you.
All right, Kaylee, thank you so much.
Speaking of music, if you're feeling a little bit country this morning, we've got good news.
Get your cowboy hats ready. We are breaking down the big names who made the cut and who missed out for this year's CMA nominations. We are back with some big wins for some of our favorite shows at the Creative Arts Emmys last night. The Bear swept the wins for Outstanding Guest Actor and Actress in a Comedy Series, with John Bernthal and Jamie Lee Curtis winning for their respective roles in the show. Michaela Cole won Outstanding Guest Actress in a Drama Series for her role in Mr. and Mrs. Smith, and Shogun's Nestor Carbonell won for Outstanding Guest Actor in a Drama. Shogun struck gold, taking home the most ever Emmys for a single season with 14 wins. And the songwriting duo Benj Pasek and Justin Paul became the 20th and 21st members of the coveted EGOT Club after winning their first Emmys for Outstanding Music and Lyrics for a song they co-wrote for Only Murders in the Building. Of course, the Creative Arts Emmys, just the start of the Emmy season, a sort of award show appetizer,
yes,
we're calling it, if you will. That's ahead of the primetime Emmys, which takes place on Sunday.
Exactly. That's coming quickly. One of my other favorite headlines was that Dick Van Dyke, who's about to turn 99, won an Emmy. And he had already earlier this year won a daytime Emmy for a soap opera. So this year, Dick Van Dyke just raking in all the Emmys.
Look, age, just a number.
Exactly. He will tell you that, too.
Yeah.
All right. Finally, this hour, speaking of awards, the nominations are in for the 58th Annual Country Music Association Awards, the CMAs. A lot of familiar names got the nod. As always, there are several surprises and a few snubs on the list, including a pretty big one. For more, let's bring in Jim Aswad. He is Variety's executive editor of music and joins us now with all the details. Good to have you with us. So let's start with the big snub. Beyonce had one of the best-selling country music albums of the year. Not a single nod. Is that a surprise? What do you make of that?
I don't consider it a surprise at all. The Nashville country music establishment is very insular, and you kind of have to play that game. And you look at Post Malone, who basically put a charm offensive on Nashville, and everybody there loves him, as opposed to Beyonce, who didn't really do a whole lot to ingratiate herself with the country music establishment. She doesn't need to. She doesn't care. Realistically, half the album is country. So, no, I'm not surprised at all.
Is that like how it should work? That you got to go and do all that kind of stuff rather than just have an album be clearly hugely commercially successful?
You mean awards aren't just purely who does
I mean,
the
I know
best
there's all that behind-the-scenes drama and the campaigns and stuff. It's just like with such with stats as strong as hers, you know?
Yeah, it's a really tough thing to sort of try to explain, but it's very much an insider's town. And you can't get much more country than Morgan Wallen, and something arguably similar has happened to him for years.
Yeah, we'll talk more about him in just a minute. Let's get into who did get these nominations. So let's start with Entertainer of the Year. Big names here, maybe a little drama. Chris Stapleton, he's now had a record 8 nominations, but never actually won. And then last year's winner, Lainey Wilson, she can make history. That would be winning for the 2nd time in a row. Tell us more about this category.
I mean, I would not be shocked to see Lainey win again. With no diss to her, she's a great new artist. She speaks to the female contingent a lot, which, as we know, has been very underrepresented in country in recent years. And she's really charming. Also, Jelly Roll has a fantastic story. A former felon, a former addict, and he speaks about the gratitude toward it all. I mean, I've met him. He's the nicest guy you'll ever meet in your whole life. And on top of that, his records are great. And one thing I find really interesting about him is the fact that his music is so based in hip hop and rock as well as country. So, I really feel like he's speaking to country's broad demographic right there. Chris Stapleton is amazing. He's one of the greatest singers you will ever hear, but he's a little bit less of an entertainer, I would say. He's more of a singer-songwriter, I just don't think of the word entertainer when I think of him.
You mentioned Morgan Wallen. Let's talk about him. Several nominations over the last few years. No wins since he took home New Artist 4 years ago in 2020. He's now leading the pack with 7 nominations. Could this be his year?
It possibly could be, but a lot of those nominations came because of his duet with Post Malone, who, as I said, has put on a real charm offensive. Morgan's a bad boy. I say that in the literal sense of the word. I mean, who throws a chair off of a 6-story building not knowing what's below you? And there have been other things along the way. And in a way, reminiscent of a certain politician, the more he behaves that way, the more his audience seems to love it. So I think he's always going to be an outsider in that sense, unless the Academy changes slightly or he softens himself, which I don't see happening.
Let's talk new artists, the category that Morgan has won in. Who's on this list?
Jem, can you hear us?
Sorry.
Yeah,
yes,
we got like
sorry,
20 seconds here real quick.
Yeah. Sorry about that. Megan and Shabuzi are definitely in the lead. Megan has a female factor working in her way, but Shabuzi's got the biggest country hit of the year, for better or worse. It is literally the biggest hit of the year right now. And there's a little bit of the Lil Nas X factor involved there as well. You just don't see that many pop black country performers. So it's kind of exciting there.
We'll see what happens. Jem Aswad, thanks so much. The CMAs will be held in Nashville November 20th. It's going to do it for this hour of Morning News Now.
But the news continues right now.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.